Good morning. Today we're going to talk about successful online genealogical searching, where to go, how to search. One of the important things to have knowledge about when you're searching for genealogy or any other topic is a browser. And a browser is your gateway to the internet, and it's how you search on the internet. So choosing a browser is a little bit like buying a car. Figure out what you need to do before you choose. Do you want a sporty car? Do you need a work truck? Do you need a family van? Those are the kind of parameters you need to think about when you're choosing a browser for your genealogy. There are different types of browsers. Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Firefox, and Opera are the four main ones, but there are many others. And remember, a browser is a type of bridge that gets you to the internet. We're going to talk about each browser in terms of general functionality and how you might use it for genealogy. Internet Explorer is already loaded on most of your Microsoft PCs. It's great for general searches. For Google Chrome, I use that because it integrates really well with Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Search. Also, there's Firefox or Mozilla, and that's very stable over time, fewer updates and fewer new versions, and there are ways that you can use that for genealogy as well. And I use Opera quite a bit. It's a lesser used operating or browser by a lot of people, but it's great for personalizing and storing frequently used sites. And they have a wonderful speed dial feature that I use and I'll show. So there are a couple things that you might want to learn about with the browsers. You can pin the tabs. So if you find something that you want to save in the browser and you want it to appear every time you open the browser, you can pin the tab. So you right click on the tab and you choose from the drop down menu Pin Tab. Also, you can learn to add a site to Opera using their speed dial. So if you open Opera as a browser, then adding a site to Opera, you'll find a box in the lower right corner, and you can type an address in there to add a tile to your browser. Google has some great search engine power for general searches and topics and news, and there is a manual that's listed here. That's a great manual for how to use Google. Learn to search more efficiently and get page 1, 2, or 3 results. So there are several things that we're going to talk about with search engines that could help you up your results and lessen your frustration. Also, you can check images on search engines and try advanced searches. And when you have an option to do something on your browser or on a search engine that says more, give it a shot, try it. Don't be intimidated. Go ahead and click on it and see what you can find. Boolean operators are the method by which you can refine your search and get better search results. Most Boolean operators are either a single symbol or a single word that gives you a more defined result. So for example, the plus sign or the and groups your results together. For example, my maiden name is Kelly Reed. So if I want to find Kelly Reed's, where Kelly and Reed both appear together on the same web page, then I can find all the sites where there's a Kelly and a Reed. It doesn't necessarily put Kelly Reed together, but it at least gets you more reasonable results than just searching for Kelly and searching for Reed by itself. You can use the minus sign to show sites that don't have something. For example, I have Robbins in my family. It's one of my surnames, but I don't want to see Baskin Robbins every time. I have Neils in my family, but I don't want to see O'Neills or Shaquille O'Neills every time I search for the Neils. So you can use a minus sign um, to hone in your search. One of the most common ways to find information in a better way, a more efficient way, is to use quotation marks. So I use quotation marks to group around things that I want to see side by side in a search. So, for example, if I want to find something about one of my ancestors, George Washington Calderwood, if I put that in quotation marks, it shows sites where all three of those names appear. But there's a limitation you need to keep in mind. It doesn't show George W. Calderwood, it doesn't show G.W. Calderwood, and it doesn't show G.O.W. Calderwood and some of the other name derivations. So if you want to search for George Washington Calderwood, you want to be using all the different variations of his name. There is something that you can use called a wildcard. Oftentimes I use it in book titles or something with missing words. Um, and so if you use that wildcard symbol, the asterisk symbol on your computer keyboard, the asterisk history of Darke County, you can find it. Google will substitute in words in place of that asterisk. So you will get the history of Darke County with no word inserted. You'll also get the biographical history of Darke County, the centennial history of Darke County, and any others that contain those words. The wildcard will replace that for you. Sometimes I use the or operator to deal with alternate spellings. So if I want to find Bergheimers, Berkheimers, Bergenheimers, and so on, I can use or in between each of those words. And what that does is that gives me websites where any of those appear. So if there's a Bergheimer with a GH, a Bergheimer with a KH, those will all appear in my search listings. What I do is I keep a list of common surnames and how they're misspelled so that I can copy and paste into the browser. That just speeds me up a little bit. You can use a combination of Boolean operators. So for example, let's say you want to find more information on Elmer Ellsworth Calderwood and you knew that he died in 1914 and you want to get some page one results. You want to get top of the list results. So you can combine things like Darke County in parentheses. You can use and or plus signs to include Ohio, to include 1914, to include the surname. That should move your results to the beginning of the list. So if you look at how I've marked here something very cool that I found in Google, you can do that kind of a search with Darke County in Ohio in 1914 in Calderwood, and you can search for any time. But if you look here in the drop-down list, there's also an option of searching the past hour, the past 24 hours, the past year, or you can customize the range. So for genealogists, that's pretty exciting because you can customize the range from 1900 to 1920, or you can customize the range just as 1914. So you can get results in the past appearing at the very top of your search list. Think of the genealogical implications of this search capability if you can input a customized range from when to when using a calendar. And that can be as simple as a day or a decade. There is some terminology that I think is really important when you're first getting started in genealogy. Genealogical terms from Family Search can be found using the following link. Definitions of terms are there, and things that are found in historic records when you're searching for your ancestors. So let's say there was a notation on a death certificate that someone died of consumption. Those are the kind of things that you can look up and find on Family Search. There are also many acronyms and abbreviated words that are unique to genealogy and family history, and so you might want to search for that in terms of the genealogical terms link from Family Search. Also, there are a lot of DNA terms from ISOG's website, the International Society of Genetic Genealogy. They have a wonderful glossary there. So if you need to learn about what does it mean to be a haploid group, or what's a SNP, or what's a centimorgan. That's a great place to go to find that information as well. To try to determine what to cite, one of the things that when people start genealogy, they aren't necessarily considering how to build citations and how to cite their sources along the way. And most of us at some point realize we don't really have the information that we need about where we found certain bits of information. There are 5 basic things that should be cited in every citation. There are, of course, books about this. There are websites about it. It can be as in-depth and complicated as you would like. But the citation in general needs to point the next person who's looking at that source back to the original spot. So if you capture these 5 things, or maybe even the 7 things on this list, you'll be in pretty good shape. So if you found a book, you want the author, the title, the repository, where you found it, the date, and the page. Those are the basic pieces of information, but a lot of us find things online. So you want to house the website or use something like waypoints to find your way back to where you were when you found that original document. There are a couple of optional things that sometimes are included in citations. Some people include the library or archive call numbers, and some people include a brief preliminary comment or evaluation about the source. That's particularly important if you're in a location, um, maybe you're out of town researching, you find a source, it's something that's transcribed by the local genealogical society, so that's important to know. It's a transcription. Also, there are all kinds of websites that you might wonder the authenticity of the information, and so make yourself a note that you were a little bit concerned about that. And those can all be included in citations. It's important to track your sources. You want to be able to determine, where did I find that? And particularly if you're sharing your information, you're sharing your research, and you're working and collaborating perhaps with cousins or working on DNA lines or lineage societies, you're going to want to document. There's some places that you can go online to find some really exciting pieces of information, some real genealogical gems. The first place that I recommend, and I check for surnames and occupations and locations, is OCLC's WorldCat. There's a link here, and it is a library system that links you to libraries all around the world. In general, you can request for those to have books to have interlibrary loans. A lot of them are resource books and are not available to be loaned out, but at least you can determine within a certain geographical area where the book is that you're looking for. Another thing that I highly recommend to find some great stuff for genealogy is Google Books. There's a link here for Google Books, and if you search in Google Books, that's like searching a particular portion of Google, and it's a segment. So you're not searching all of Google for these book names or searching by family name, but you're searching just a segment. So the results that you're looking for are going to show up higher in the list. So if you want to search, for example, family history, put the surname in and put family history and put it all in quotations. If you want to search for a name, again, use those quotations. And if you're searching for a location or county history book, again, put that county name in quotations. Percy, the periodical search index, contains thousands and thousands of periodical titles, and as of last count that I saw, 2.25 million entries by surname or location, and some 22 basic subject headings. There is a link here to findmypast.com where you can search Percy, and a how-to link is included here as well, how to search Percy, and that's written by familysearch.org. There are some great sites where you can find some online information. Ancestry.com, of course, has a subscription fee. Family Search is free. Find a Grave is free. The Atlas of County Boundaries from the Newberry Library is free as well. Heritage Quest Online is free, and Fold 3 costs a subscription. The General Land Office records, anything .gov should be free to you. Jewish Genealogy is free. Archives.com has a fee, a subscription fee. Billion Graves is free, and Chronicling America is free. All of those are great resources to use when you're beginning your genealogical searching. Some important things to keep in mind when you're successfully trying to search online for records is that there are lots of local, national, and state genealogical societies. Join the places where you live and where your people lived, and make a list and try to keep yourself organized in terms of those membership fees. When do you need to renew? Most of the member benefits are $10, $15, $20 a year, and they have wonderful websites. So even if you don't join their society, there's usually a great deal of information on those websites. If you do become a member and join their society, one of the things you might find is that there's a member wall. And so with a code or some sort of access from your membership number, you can get beyond that and you can find even more resources. Newsletters that the local and state and national societies publish offer local tidbits you might not find anywhere else. I can't even tell you how many times a newsletter has come in the mail from a society that I belong to, and something has been in there about one of my ancestors. The newsletters often have articles of the location, points of interest, new collections featured, biographical sketches, obituaries, indices, all sorts of things, and wonderful gems are in those local society newsletters. Also, if you belong to a society, you can sometimes qualify for free help, or they have a question section, or sometimes you can even get free lookups, 2 lookups of obituaries a month or something like that. So there are oftentimes some really great benefits to joining local, national, and state societies. I joined the Lawrence County, Tennessee society. I have family for 100 so years in that part of the country, and I read the newsletter, and there is an article in here about my second great grandfather and his friend who joined the Civil War, and they were in Tennessee, and they joined the Confederacy, and then they ended up joining the North. They were captured, but they joined the North in an Iowa brigade that was making its way through town. So there are a lot of interesting stories that you can find that have to do with your family. I just happened to open this up one day. It came right to my house, and here's George Washington Shaver, who was the best friend of my great great grandfather, Samuel S. Todd. And Samuel S. Todd actually ended up marrying George Schaefer's sister, Margaret, and that's how I came to be. So it's a really fascinating thing to see what other people are researching and what other people have put together in a newsletter format, and it may pertain to your family. Don't miss the ancestry message boards and surname boards. They're a fantastic resource of other people researching what you're looking for. And they boast here that there are 25 million posts. It's a pretty incredible resource of messages that people have posted even as far back as the 1990s. So you can search for content in a message board, such as a keyword and surname, the Civil War, a location. You can find a board about a specific topic as well. Definitely You might find people who are looking for the same people. So, for example, on the first Van Tilburg board that I looked at, you'll find that there's New Jersey, Ohio. This is a relation to me, this William Van Tilburg and his wife. So there are several different things that I found here by researching and then getting to know the people who are posting on these boards. And you can see that some of these go back quite a ways, 2000s, early 2000s. Of course, in the genealogical world, if you want to get lost online, you can go to Cindy's List. Um, I don't generally start at Cindy's List, but if I get stuck or I can't think of where to look next, or if I'm not sure where to start, if I'm not sure what resources are available, I use Cindy's List to get some ideas of what there is and what the scope is of what's available.